Although Bob Saget's life sounds like a Hollywood script, it is incredibly real, full of tragedy, joy, and the silent fortitude of a man who transcended his roles. Saget was born in Philadelphia on May 17, 1956, and grew up in a world where the early signs of a remarkable skill coexisted with everyday family life. Although his mother worked in hospital administration and his father owned a store, they offered stability but no quick route to stardom. Bob had a natural sense of humor even as a young child. His ability to turn ordinary occurrences into stories that made friends and family laugh was a sign of the performer he would later become. Beneath that talent, there were challenges that would mold him into a guy who could both command a stage and establish a close bond with audiences. He chose to pursue broadcasting at Temple University, which exposed him to media and performance mechanics. But he really developed his skills in local comedy clubs. He was able to experiment with timing, delivery, and content that pushed limits during these early unvarnished performances. Bob's humor was never flat. The stand-up stage demonstrated his willingness to face difficult realities with humor, a duality that marked his career even though viewers would come to know him as the kind, tidy father on television. He learned how to strike a careful balance between performance and vulnerability during these early years, a talent he would use throughout his life. When Saget was chosen to play Danny Tanner on Full House in 1987, it was his big break. Bob's portrayal of a widowed father raising three girls in the sitcom resonated with viewers throughout the country. Danny Tanner was incredibly patient, caring, thorough, and human. He was seen by viewers as representation of patience, hope, and the challenges of family life. For Bob, the position was both a cage of demands and a source of fame, financial security, and a platform to reach millions. Bob's personal life and his stand-up persona stood in a stark contrast to Danny Tanner's innocent image. In addition to being America's dad, he was a humorist who wasn't afraid to tackle the unvarnished aspects of life. Bob gained widespread popularity through television, but his stand-up career revealed a whole another side to him. His acts were bold, mature, and perceptive, making people laugh with their humanity, astonishment, and honesty. The same man who gave lectures on the values of neatness and patience on Full House would frequently surprise audiences by telling jokes that were irrelevant, intensely personal, and occasionally excruciatingly honest. Bob was special because of this duality. On stage, he could embrace a more erratic, raw version of himself while also playing the part of a father figure. He loved the freedom that came with performing live, the intimacy that television could never match, the direct connection to people's reactions, and the instant feedback of laughter. By hosting America's Funniest Home Videos in 1989, he greatly broadened his audience. Every week, Bob led viewers through the turmoil with warmth and humor while families all throughout the nation chuckled at accidents and ridiculous situations caught on film. His presence became a reassuring constant in living rooms across the country, and his ability to combine humor and humanity lifted the show beyond simple entertainment. Later, as the narrator of How I Met Your Mother, he brought the elder Ted Mosby's thoughts on love, remorse, and optimism to life, making his voice even more recognizable to a younger audience. Bob's versatility enabled him to impact audiences in ways that few performers ever accomplished over the course of decades. However, Saget's life was characterized by personal suffering despite his public triumph. He endured loss that would have broken many, including the death of his older sister, who succumbed to a serious illness. He was deeply affected by her death, which led him to turn his sorrow into his career. He even directed a television movie that was motivated by her hardship. Relationships were also complicated. His first marriage produced three daughters, a source of immense pride and joy, but it ultimately ended in divorce. Years later, he fell in love once more and met TV personality Kelly Rizzo. Their union represented both rejuvenation and the universal human need for connection. Bob resisted being restricted to a single kind of work throughout his career. He created films, performed on reality shows, engaged in podcasts, and returned regularly to stand-up stages. He was always creatively curious, unafraid to take chances or fully expose himself to an audience. He was driven to projects that allowed him to explore both the painful and comic parts of life. Bob showed an unflinching dedication to entertaining and connecting with people even in his later years as he performed stand-up around the nation, frequently fusing humor with nuanced observations on the frailty of life. When Bob Saget was discovered unconscious in a hotel room on January 9, 2022, while on a stand-up tour close to Orlando, Florida, the world was reminded of that vulnerability. He was 65. According to investigations, he died from an unintentional strike to the head, most likely from an unseen fall. Fans, co-workers, and other artists were all taken aback by the news. Tributes flowed in from all over the world, acknowledging his significant impact on comedy and television. Friends talked of his warmth, generosity, and the subtle kindness that characterized his off-camera encounters. Whether it was through a joke, a consoling remark, or a silent act of support. He had a way of making people feel seen. The characters that Bob Saget played or the programs he hosted do not adequately capture his legacy. It lives in the joy he created, the honesty he gave to comedy, and the bonds he nurtured with people of all ages. He possessed a unique blend of intelligence, bravery, and empathy, and he used humor to shed light on the human condition in ways that were both amusing and profoundly poignant. His life serves as a reminder that resilience, humor, and compassion can coexist in the face of hardship, even for people who appear unbeatable on screen. Bob Saget's influence lives on even though his voice has been muted. Young viewers hear his narration in How I Met Your Mother, families continue to watch reruns of Full House, and crowds chuckle at snippets of his stand-up acts. He left behind a legacy that goes beyond comedy and television and strikes a deep chord in the hearts of people who witnessed his work because of his warmth, wisdom, and bold humor. Bob Saget was a man of depth and complexity in every way, incredibly humorous, tragically real, and unforgettable in his contributions to the entertainment industry. Stories about Bob Saget continue to shed light on the man behind the laughter even after his death. His co-workers recall him not only as a performer but also as someone who gave everyone a sense of importance. His ability to combine humor and real concern to transform a straightforward backstage talk into an insightful moment was frequently mentioned by other comedians. Fans talked about their interaction with Bob at meet and greets or comedy events, remembering how he remembered their names, inquired about their lives, or made them laugh in ways that seemed intimate, like he was talking to them personally. Bob frequently thought about how important it is to engage his audience. He acknowledged that being known as America's dad had both advantages and disadvantages. He enjoyed making families laugh, but he also wanted to be recognized as a true human being with the same struggles and uncertainties as everyone else. His openness was evident in his stand-up, where surprising compassion reminded viewers that vulnerability and humor could coexist. According to his children, he was a father who cherished the little moments spent with his family, whether it was watching TV together, helping with homework, or simply listening. Bob brought the same warmth and patience to his own home that Danny Tanner adored. When fans saw a glimpse of this side of him, they frequently commented on how his compassion off-screen reflected the ease and consideration of his on-screen personas. Comedians still cite Bob as an inspiration and guide. He inspired others to take artistic chances and remain loyal to their voices by embracing both light-hearted and dark humor. Through decades of labor, he demonstrated that a performer might change without losing their authenticity and that the best way to gauge success is to connect with people through empathy or laughter. Every time someone sees a replay of Full House, chuckles at a clip, or hears his voice narrating How I Met Your Mother, Bob Saget's influence endures. His legacy is characterized by the happy and meaningful moments he brought about, not by ratings or honors. He demonstrated that one person could impact many others and that humor, fortitude, and compassion could coexist. Bob Saget was more than just a comic, a television legend, or a father figure. He was a guy whose love and laughter made the world a happier, brighter, and immensely richer place.